I want to thank Fish Swim for pointing out to me something I didn't know, that the icon Cesar Chavez is now being slandered and lied about. Women are accusing him of misconduct. Now, before we do anything else, let's see, let's see what the accomplishments of Caesar is, right? This is what he did for people. He was a Mexican-American labor leader and civil rights activist who co-founded the National Farm Workers Association. Now, everybody eats. Everybody is dependent on farmers for a living. So it's good that they're being taken care of, right? In 1962, to advocate for the rights of agricultural laborers, right? He led the historic Delano grape strike and a national-wide grape boycott, resulting in the first collective bargaining agreements for farm workers, 65 to 70. Wow. Let's see. Legislative impact. His activism paved his way for the California Agricultural Laborers Relations Act in 75. Nonviolent tactics. He pioneered the use of nonviolence resistance in labor organization. Recognition. He is posthumously rewarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 1994 by Bill Clinton. Now, this is what this man has done for us all. Now, let's see how people, or I should say women, repay him, right? Let's see. Here are the specific allegations. He's been accused of sexual abuse. It's always sexual abuse, right? Against women and minors. They're going to pedo smear him, right? During the 1960s and 70s. Really? So if he was guilty of that, how come it's not coming around till now? Like they gave him his medal in 1994. So what's changed? He's dead, so he can't defend himself. 2026 New York Times investigation. We'll be looking at their hit piece against this angel, which emerged over 30 years after his death. Of course, these women could have turned around and accused him any time. They waited till he was dead. And now everything that they've given this man, which he earned through his angelic behavior, his altruistic behavior is now going to be stripped from him, right? At least a dozen women have come forward, stated he was manipulated and forced into sexual encounters. Manipulated, right? This is what it is. This guy was high status. He became a leader, and the young women, being hypergamous, bypassed the know-nothing guys that they have contempt for to sleep with him. That's what happened. Resulting in pregnancy she hid. So this woman banged him, got pregnant, but he wasn't going to marry. He already had his golden woman, his golden wife, right? Right. Institutional response. The UFW Foundation and the Cesar Chavez Foundation canceled all Cesar Chavez Days celebrations, March 31. See, this man was celebrated for everything he did for us, and this is what he gets. So look, the Congregational Hispanic Caucus stating the movement is bigger than one man. So in other words, these traitors are willing to throw out the man who founded all this and spearheaded all this to, pander to these women who hate their guts. Political and social reckoning. Several states, including Texas and Arizona, canceled and stopped observing the state holiday. Right. California Governor Gavin Newsom expressed openness to to renaming the holiday. So now they're going to rename it too, right? The San Francisco renamed its annual parade solely to honor Dolores Huerta. So this liar came up, and now she's gaining all the accolades that he earned. What do I tell you over and over again? Women leech off the accomplishments of men, then they lie about them and betray them, and then steal what the men earned. Family statement. This is how men are almost wasting their time with family, right? This is what you guys are fighting for when you fight for family. The Chavez family did not dispute the allegations. Well, they should have, because these allegations have no proof. Expressing devastation and stating they honor the voices of survivors. So they betrayed their man. They betrayed their own family for women they don't even know, while noting the allegations are painful to the family. So these do-nothing women, they're nobodies. This is what I'm telling you about the dominance, the social dominance women have. These do-nothing women who didn't do anything for anybody just made up a story, and everybody falls in line. See, the patriarchy does not exist. Now, we'll get into this hit piece right here. Okay, Anna, I'm not going to bother with her name, remembers the day the man she had regarded as a hero called her to a house in summer to see him. She entered the rundown building. Wow, it's a rundown building. This guy wasn't rich, was he? Passed his secretary and stepped into his office. So his secretary knew about it. If this was actually happening, how come his secretary, who is no doubt a female, didn't come out and say this? Because it wasn't true. That's what it is. He locked the door as he always did when he called her. Okay, so he always did that. And told her how lonely he had been. This is all stories, brah. Sorry, this is just a story. There is zero evidence. It's just her making up a story, right? The man, one of the most revered figures, was 45. She was 13. Okay, so I don't believe any of this. I don't believe one dime of this. Recently, more than 50 years later, okay, so she's 13. How come she didn't come out when she was 23 and she was a grown woman? How about 33, 20 years later? That would have been too long anyway, guys. But it's 50 years later. Why? Because he's dead and he can't say that she's a liar. He can't come out and say, prove it. Right. This is disgusting. The two women have not shared their stories publicly before. Of course they didn't have it. Of course they didn't. Because they were lies. They had to wait till he was dead before they could attack, his ghost. Right? The New York Times has uncovered extensive evidence to support their accusations, really, such as, that's not available to the public? No, because they're lying. Right. Where would they get their evidence? So they said, they gave the story that he touched them when they were 13. Where would they get their evidence for that? Right. Jeez. Now, the questions raised by the Times immediately prompted organizations with ties to him to try to distance themselves. See, this is what you get, guys. This is what you get if you're altruistic and stand up for your fellow man. You get a bunch of liars, a bunch of lying women coming up and destroying you. Profoundly shocking accusations. Why are they shocking? Right? Of course, they're a bunch of lies. The marches to honor Chavez were called off in Austin, Texas. See, they're closing the gates. You know something, guys? They started off with guys like H.P. Lovecraft, taking stuff away from him. But they could at least fall back and say, oh, the guy was a racist. They got nothing on Chavez. Nothing. It doesn't matter how good you are as a person. You're a man, you are subject to all kinds of lies, and people immediately support the liars. And that includes this guy's own family. Again, that's what family means. That's why when guys say family, they really mean the wife. Right? They say both women are now 66 for the daughters of longtime organizers who had marched in rallies alongside Mr. Chavez. Wow. Right, right. Now, he had known her since she was 18 years old. She became traumatized, so traumatized she attempted to end her life multiple times at the age of 15. Notice all these women, they can never finish it, can they? See, guys, when guys go to take their lives, they're 100%, accurate. They don't attempt it. So this woman saying she attempted it is bullshit. That's what's going on here. Again, this is cool story, brah. This all happened when she was age 15, and she didn't come out till she was 66. Wow, not 36, not 46, 66. Right. When they were honoring him in 1994, how come she wasn't there then? Right, because this destroying men's reputations for shits and giggles has only become a recent thing. And they aim high. All you lookism dipshits, all you guys, high status men are not above low status men. Just because a high status man like Chavez here could get some tail on the side, that doesn't mean that they won't come after him. They do. Actually, he's a bigger target. Now, let me just pause it for a second. Okay, down here. The abuse allegations seems to be a part of a larger pattern of sexual misconduct by Mr. Chavez. Yet the pattern was he was top dog, he was high status, and all these young girls bypass guys their own age to spread their legs for him. Right. That's what the pattern was. Now, findings. The findings are based on interviews, really no physical evidence, with more than 60 people, including his top aides at the time, his relatives, and former members. So if his relatives knew all this, how come they were shocked? Guys, how come they were shocked at the allegations if they already knew this? That he was just banging all these young girls, right? Which he co-founded with Miss Huerta. There you go. She has stolen everything from him. That's what's going on. She clinged on to this high status man. He did all the labor, and now these people are lying about him, smearing his reputation, destroying, spitting on his grave, and now they're stealing everything from him. I'm not going to read any more of this disgusting hit piece. Not one iota. These people are absolutely disgusting. Shame on society. Now, I got to ask you guys, what's the point of being an altruistic man and standing by your fellow man if every one of these rats come around and tear you down? Wait until you die. Wait until you're vulnerable and have no ability to defend yourself and just destroy you and take everything you earned. Everything this guy earned, Chavez, was earned because he fought for his fellow man. And these women are hostile, male hostile traitors. And his family, I have nothing but contempt for those turncoats. I think we'll end it here.